Rise of the Lycan Princess. Chapter 15. Narah's eyes snapped open. Darkness pressed against the ceiling beams, but the dream's white void still glared behind her lids, mirror shards glittering like frozen stars. A tremor ran through her shoulders. Ronan's arm tightened around her ribcage. "You are safe," he whispered, voice hoarse with sleep, warm breath brushing her ear. "You were calling my name." She steadied her breathing. The mirror. It shattered. The cloaked figure spoke again. Same words, born of shadow and flame. Her throat felt scraped raw. Freya stirred, tail sweeping Narah's mind with anxious warmth. "We sense that presence," she said, "not mere dreaming." Ronan kissed Narah's temple, then sat up against the carved headboard, drawing her with him. The hearth burned low. He reached for a poker, nudging embers. Firelight flickered across their entwined legs, banishing the chill. "Tell me from the start," he urged. She recounted every detail. The warped reflections bleeding, the cloaked figure closer than before, the breaking glass. As she spoke, she felt Ronan's palm rub slow circles along her spine, grounding her. When she reached the figure's parting question, his hand paused. "A challenge," he muttered, "daring you to choose darkness." Freya added, "That voice is not stranger to our blood." Narah relayed Freya's worry. Ronan's jaw clenched. "We wake Selene." He swung his feet to the floor, grabbing trousers. Before he could stand, she caught his wrist. "Ronan," the figure's voice, and it felt familiar, almost like an echo of someone I should remember. He knelt beside the bed, level with her eyes. "Familiar does not mean master. Remember, echoes lose power when faced." She nodded, but doubt tugged. He squeezed her fingers. "Selene will know." He dressed quickly, wrapping a cloak around Narah's shoulders before leading her through the quiet hall. Guards saluted, surprised, then hurried to fetch the priestess. Selene appeared within minutes, charcoal robe hastily belted, copper hair a storm of loose braids. Lucian followed, boots unlaced. "You two never sleep long enough," he grumbled, though worry etched his brow. Before the hearth, Narah retold the nightmare while Ronan filled in details. Selene's green eyes darkened. "This is crescendo behavior. The mirror is not dormant. It thinks, probes. Shattering glass inside a dream suggests the artifact tries to break barriers." "Barriers like our bond?" Ronan asked. "Or your mental defenses," Selene replied. She drew a small silver mirror from her sleeve, runes etched on its rim. Holding it before Narah, she whispered an incantation. Mist swirled across the glass, then cleared to reveal Narah's face. No cracks, only tired eyes. "Surface aura unchanged," Selene murmured. "But the mirror's pulse patterns have quickened." She folded the item away. "We must restrict your proximity to it for now. Track every resonance spike." Lucian ran a hand through tousled hair. "Variant how? Hourly? Minute? Twice daily at least," Selene said. Ronan lifted Narah's hand to his lips. "We face this methodically." Narah tried to smile, but the dream's chill lingered. "Shadow and flame. If the mirror is sentient, what is it trying to make me choose?" Selene sighed, kneeling before the hearth. "Light and darkness exist in every heart. Sentient relics feed on extremes. It wants you to embrace one and reject the other, splitting what keeps you whole." Ronan's gaze sharpened. "She will not fracture." Selene rose. "Then we reinforce her balance, meditation, circle wards, constant support." Lucian nodded. "I'll schedule double guard on the vault." They planned until dawn bled pale across diamond frost outside the window. Only when Selene left did Narah allow herself to sag into Ronan's embrace. "Thank you for not dismissing fear," she whispered. He kissed her brow. "Fear is a messenger. We listen, then choose courage." Freya's approving rumble echoed. Sunlight crept into the courtyard by the time they reached the dining hall. Talia sat on a bench, braiding a new string for her bow, humming off-key. She paused at their approach. Rough night? Ronan nodded. Dream echoes. Celine's working. Talia's smile faded. Then we keep arrows ready. Kyle strode in behind them bearing a tray piled with seed cakes. Eat first. Foes feed on emptiness. Narah managed half a laugh, accepted a cake. Maris arrived with tea laced with sage and honey, forcing extra spoons of sugar into Narah's mug. Sweetness tightened stitches, she declared before bustling away. Before they finished breakfast, Elias entered, face grim. Something you should see. He led them through a side corridor to the guard barracks. Inside, a young sentinel lay on a cot, eyes closed, skin damp. 2 healers pressed cool cloths to his brow. Vivid runes marked his temples, thin lines glowing faint blue. When found, he was alone outside the mirror vault, Elias explained. Runes pulsed for a moment, then faded. Celine arrived, brushing past them to kneel. She hovered a palm over the marks. Faint sparks jumped between skin and her hand. Same harmonic signature, she said quietly. Mirror magic. Narah stepped closer. A strange tug stirred inside. Recognition mingled with revulsion. Freya snapped. Back away. Narah retreated, pulse racing. He will recover? Ronan asked. Likely, but there will be nightmares. Celine's gaze flicked to Narah. It mimics your aura, but jagged. Elias crossed arms. 1 guard. How many next time? We double the rotating watch, Lucian said, entering. No one stands alone. He directed 2 captains with crisp orders. They obeyed instantly. Tension heavy. When Narah slid out, Ronan shadowed her. Tell me what you felt. She hugged herself. Recognition, like smelling a childhood blossom twisted sour. She swallowed. Pieces of me inside that rune. Pieces stolen, perhaps, Ronan said. He drew her into an alcove, pressing her hand over his heart. Time to speak with your parents. The Queen's solar smelled of cedar oil and parchment. Winter sun spilled across stained glass, painting colors upon plush rugs. The King and Queen listened while Narah laid out dream details, guard attack, and her fear that the mirror's magic echoed her own. The Queen stood, skirts whispering. She cupped Narah's face. Child, you survived years of scorn, and still chose mercy. Shadow cannot uproot such strength. The King added, You are tempered by both dark and light, as old prophecy once spoke, the moon's twin sides shaping one coin. His weathered hand settled on Ronan's arm. We stand with you. Warmth flooded Narah, tears threatening. She drew a steady breath. Then I will face the mirror, not run. Ronan nodded, gratitude in his eyes. Freya's tail flicked approval. Evening torches flickered as Celine led them to the lower ritual chamber, a broad circular vault beneath Ironcrest Library. Runes lined walls and floor. Incense burned, carrying sandalwood and juniper. At the center stood a shallow stone basin filled with mirrored water. The sealed shard remained in the coffer on a pedestal nearby, triple wards binding its glow. Talia waited near the entrance, arms crossed over her quiver. If anything looks wrong, I drag you out, she warned Narah. Lucien posted at the door with Elias and Kale. Celine addressed Narah and Ronan. You will lie beside the basin. I anchor your spirits. Ronan, your bond will act as tether. Ronan helped Narah lie on a cushion, clasping her hand. Guide my path, she whispered. Always, he answered. Celine began. Her chanting filled the chamber, runes pulsing in time. Vapor rose from the basin, silver ripples expanded outward. Narah felt her eyelids grow heavy, Ronan's grip like warm iron. Freya's presence melded, the chamber blurred. She drifted into gray, then black, then a twilight realm where silver sand formed dunes under a starless dome. Freya's wolf form trotted beside her. They moved forward. Shadows coalesced into a scene. Blue Moon's pack house, but timbers bled. Caspian appeared, face twisted, sneering. You were never worthy, he hissed. Narah's pulse pounded, but she stepped through him. Illusion shattered to dust. Another vision, Ronan kneeling, chains binding his wrists, blood on his cheek. "Run," he rasped. She reached, but a barrier of mirror shards blocked her. Freya snarled, shattering the shards. Ronan vanished. At last a wide clearing opened, floor-polished mirror under swirling mist. In its center stood Narah's mirror double, hair long and dark, irises black as midnight, wearing a gown of ember glow. She smiled. "Sister." "I have no sister," Narah said, voice steady though heart hammered. "You do. Split at birth, light given day, shadow kept night. I hold your power." She extended a burning hand. "Take it. Rule with me." Narah's mind pulled. Desire to end war quickly whispered. Freya growled. "Choice kills hearts." Narah shook her head. "I rule only with love." The double's smile twisted. "Love cracks under weight." She lifted a palm. Mirror beneath them rippled, reflecting Ironcrest in flames. Narah's knees wobbled. Freya barked. "Remember Ronan." Image of his gentle eyes glowed. Narah drew breath. "Flame warms. Shadow freezes. I choose warmth." The floor shattered, voice echoing, then freeze alone. A figure stepped from mist, cloaked like the dream, face half shadow. Closer now, feminine jawline familiar. "Narah," the figure whispered, voice half her own. "Blood calls." "I wait beyond the circle." She reached for Narah's cheek. Skin rippled with heat and cold. Freya lunged. The world splintered. Narah bolted upright with a cry, Ronan gripping her shoulders. Talia knelt at her side, an arrow knocked but pointed down. Celine ended the chant, sweat beading her brow. "You were gone long," Ronan said, voice shaken. "What did you see?" Narah panted, heartbeat racing. "Mirror twin, calls herself sister, and the cloaked figure, she might be another version of me, or bloodborne." She gripped his tunic. "The mirror wakes faster." Celine nodded. "Energy spiked while you were under. The wards nearly failed." Iona hurried in, breathless. "Scouts report mirror cult banners rising outside Frostvine Wastes. Thousands gather." Lucian swore. Elias drew a deep breath. Ronan stood, helping Narah up. She swayed but straightened, strength flowing from bond light. "Then we strike before they finish waking the mirror." Ronan's approval came instantly. "We lead." Lucian slammed fist to chest in salute. "I ride." Elias and Kale echoed. Talia clicked an arrow back into quiver. "Adventure calls." Celine placed a gentle hand on Narah's arm. "We must plan at once." In Ironcrest's war room, maps unfurled over oak. Candles flickered. Narah, Ronan, Lucian, Elias, Celine, Talia, Kael, Iona, and the king and queen gathered. Narah laid out the mirror descent vision, and Iona's scout report. Cult forces mass around an obsidian obelisk rumored to be the mirror's cradle. "We march within 2 days," Narah said, voice clear. "We will outflank with Ironcrest spears and Blue Moon archers, assault before full awakening." The queen hesitated. "Your life protects thousands," Narah replied. "I must face this twin. If she is my blood, I end her hold." Ronan took her hand. "I stand with you, in shadow, in flame." Eyes around the table met, mixture of fear and fierce faith. Lucian cracked a grin. "Well then, better sharpen everything." Decision sealed, horns sounded to muster troops before dawn. Narah and Ronan stepped onto the balcony. Snowflakes whirled beneath a blood-tinged moon. "We will win," Ronan said. Narah exhaled white breath. "Yes, but we must be ready for truth." She looked at him. "If Echo and I share blood, will you still trust me?" He brushed hair from her cheek. "My trust lies in your choices, not your blood. You have always chosen light." Freya echoed with quiet pride. Below, torches blazed across battlements. Drums beat rally calls. Night smelled of pine, iron, and coming war. Far beyond Ironcrest, deep within a windswept cavern of black glass, a cloaked figure hovered over a jagged mirror fragment glowing crimson. Flickers of Narah's face danced across its surface. The figure's voice slipped through crackling magic. She does not yet know what she is. The shard pulsed bleeding scarlet light onto the cavern walls. Around the figure, loyal cultists knelt, chanting in low voices. Snow hammered the mouth of the cave, obscuring starless sky. The figure raised a hand wreathed in dark flame. "Soon," she whispered, eyes gleaming silver like Narah's. "Soon she will choose, and the world will follow." The mirror pulsed again, and the light died, leaving only the echo of that promise hanging in the frozen air. Snow whirled across the battlements in frantic spirals while Ironcrest roused long before dawn. Horns brayed at intervals, summoning unit captains to the courtyard where torches guttered against the wind. Narah watched the bustle from the eastern parapet, cloak snapping around her calves. Below, blacksmiths stoked roaring forges to re-edge spearheads. Grooms hurried fresh hay into stalls, and seamstresses stitched last-minute armbands dyed blue-silver to mark her expedition's ranks. Ronan approached with Lycan beside him, both bearing the polished helms presented by the king an hour earlier. "Supply wagons depart in 2 turns of the sandglass," Ronan reported, voice pitched low enough for only her and Lucienne. "We march with 600, 300 Ironcrest spears, 100 Blue Moon archers, 100 mixed scouts, and my reserve cavalry." Lycan set his helm on the crenellation. Elias added 50 shield bearers, volunteers from the Night Wind Guard. Folks who once doubted now queue to fight. "That is heartening," Narah said, though worry tugged. She traced the armband fluttering from her wrist, its silk still damp from dye. Freya's steady hum soothed the knot beneath her ribs. A bright whistle cut the wind. Talia jogged up the stair, cheeks flushed. "Arrow supply just doubled. Villagers spent the night fletching by hearth. I promised them first dance at the victory feast." She nudged Narah's shoulder. "Fair." "Fair," Narah replied, managing a smile. Kale clanked up behind, layers of plate muffling his breath clouds. Eastern Watch reports mirror cult scouts pulling back, likely consolidating near the obelisk. His dark gaze flicked to Narah. "They know we come." "Then timing matters," Ronan said. He faced Narah fully. "Celine requests you in the chapel. She and your mother have something to present." Narah dipped her head to Lycan and Talia before following Ronan down the narrow stair. They crossed the torch-lit vestibule where servants lugged crates of enchanted oil and rune stones. Maris bustled by carrying a padded satchel of herbal salves. She paused to squeeze Narah's hand. "For every bruise, a balm," she said before hurrying on. The chapel smelled of candle wax and cedar. Overhead colored glass filtered pale daybreak into ribbons of rose and gold. At the altar, Celine stood flanked by the queen. Between them rested a long, flat linen bundle. Celine beckoned. "Your mother commissioned this quietly after your marking." The queen smiled, eyes bright. An armor of tempered unity steel, woven with moon thread. Celine unfolded the linen, revealing a sleeveless cuirass of pale silver, chased with subtle patterns of intertwined lilies and mountains. Shoulder guards gleamed with inlaid fragments of mirror-bright adamant, purified slivers Celine had reclaimed from rogue shards and sanctified, so they repelled illusions instead of feeding them. Narah reached out, fingertips brushing the cool metal. Light rippled across its surface, casting gentle waves of luminescence on the marble floor. "It's beautiful." "It is strong," the queen corrected softly. "Like our daughter." Ronan helped clasp the cuirass over Narah's tunic. The metal molded to her, surprisingly light. A moment later, warmth bloomed against her sternum. Freya rumbled approval. Ronan's gaze lingered, pride shining. Celine handed Ronan a matching vambrace edged in the same moon thread. "Your bond completes the protection. Worn together, these pieces amplify harmony and blunt mirror resonance." Ronan slid the vambrace over his forearm. Much thanks. The king entered, cloak dusted white. Scouts report a lull. You should depart within the hour to use it. His eyes held bittersweet pride. I walk with you as far as the second ridge. Narah bowed. Your presence strengthens us. Soon hoofbeats thundered through the main gate. Snow filled ruts behind the column as banners snapped overhead. Silver wolf on blue for Blue Moon, mountain wolf on black for Ironcrest. Narah and Ronan rode ahead, Lucienne at Narah's left, Elias on Ronan's right. Celine and Talia followed, the priestess's staff glowing faint to guide rune-laden wagons. Villagers lined the road, lanterns held high despite morning light. Children waved cloth wolves, shouting encouragement. Narah caught sight of Iona and her son standing near a row of bakers. The boy lifted the carved wolf Talia had gifted him, smiling wide. Narah's throat tightened. She lifted a gloved hand in salute. Past the outer farms, the road narrowed into a pine corridor where snow lay deep. Scouts fanned ahead, reporting clear. Lucian broke a chunk of whey bread, passing half to Narah. First meal of war is never fine. She chewed, then asked quietly, Do you trust me to make the right choice when the mirror calls? Lucian turned serious. I trust the girl who taught pups to read while her own stomach rumbled. Power's voice can't outshout that heart. He bumped her knee with his. Don't forget. Freya echoed. Heart first, flame second. They pressed on until midday when Kale ordered a halt at Frostvine River's fork. Tents rose swiftly, cooks melting snow for broth. Narah stepped aside with Celine and Talia to study a rough parchment map. Celine indicated the cult's obelisk, drawn as a black spire near the northern ice flats. Arch scouts last night saw 3 concentric wards, fire, shadow, and illusion. Breaking them requires simultaneous strikes. Talia whistled. Arrows for the illusion layer? She tapped her quiver. And rune bolts. Celine added. I inscribed a score, but you'll have 1 pass before they adapt. Ronan joined, pointing to a path between ridges. Cavalry charges from the west during the confusion, spear wall from south. Narah and I breach the obelisk's heart. Lucian raised a brow. And if the mirror tries to twist bonds mid-fight? Ronan met Narah's eyes. We hold each other, that is the only counter proven. Snow thickened as afternoon waned. Patrols returned with 2 captured cult scouts, masked youths trembling, claiming ignorance of the artifact's inner workings. Narah questioned them gently. Fear dominated their answers. They spoke of a high flame, the same cloaked figure, promising new order once bonds fell. One scout said she had eyes of molten silver. Narah suppressed a shiver. Ronan dismissed them to secure cells. She manipulates children. Night approached. Campfires crackled under pine boughs, sparks spiraling into dark sky. Narah walked the perimeter with Elias, reviewing watch rotations. Frost glimmered on his helm. When fears press, remember soldiers mirror their commanders, he said gruffly. Your calm becomes theirs. I will remember, Narah replied. Back at the command tent, Ronan poured hot spruce tea. They shared mugs, sitting on crates draped with furs. For a moment, war retreated beyond canvas walls. Ronan brushed a snowflake from her brow. You lead beautifully. I tremble inside, she confessed. So do mountains before they birth rivers, he murmured. He leaned in, pressing a gentle kiss. The smell of pine needles and campfire smoke surrounded them. Freya's content hum calmed her heart. A horn blew twice, a scout report. They hurried outside as Kale strode up. Cult forces shifting, he said. They build pyre mounds around the obelisk, likely ritual altars. Celine's eyes narrowed. Then sunrise may be their awakening moment. Strike pre-dawn, Narah decided, voice steady, before they light fire. Ronan nodded. Orders rippled through ranks. Break camp silently before moonset. March under star gloom to staging ledges. When the camp settled, Narah walked alone to a small rise overlooking frosted pines. The moon shone half hidden by clouds. She closed her eyes. Freya sat at her side in spirit guise. Silver tail curled. Shadow and flame, Narah asked. We are both, Freya answered. Choose harmony. She inhaled cold air filled with wood smoke and snow. In the hush of that rise, she felt Ronan's approach without turning. He wrapped arms around her from behind. Not alone, he murmured. Never, she agreed. Together they watched falling stars streak beyond the mountain crest. One burned bright, then vanished. Narah pressed her hand over her new armor, feeling its warmth pulse with her heartbeat. Tomorrow decides much, Ronan said. Tomorrow begins everything, she corrected softly. They returned to the tent, sleep brief but deep. Before dawn's first blush, horns sounded one low note. Soldiers rose like ghosts from snow, dousing fires, fastening helms. Narah and Ronan mounted Nightwind and Ember, dark forms against paling sky. Lucian flashed a grin full of wicked promise. Talia winked, arrow already knocked. Kyle rolled his shoulders, axes gleaming frost. Celine lifted her staff, rune crystals glowing sea blue. Narah raised Unity's promise skyward. The blade caught the final starlight, reflecting silver fire. She scanned faces, no fear, only resolve. Freya's voice rang clear. Pack stands. With a silent gesture, Ronan signaled advance. 3 columns flowed forward through waist-deep drifts, the quiet broken only by creaking saddles and breath clouds. Ahead, beyond a line of skeletal birch, a crimson glow pulsed against low clouds. The mirror cult's pyres waiting to ignite. Narah's pulse quickened. At her side, Ronan reached over, their gloved fingers clasping briefly. She met his eyes, seeing her own courage mirrored. Beyond the trees, destiny flickered like a candle nearing oil's end. Snow under Ember's hooves muffled every stride as the army formed a crescent in the shadow of the frostvine ridges. Pre-dawn gloom draped the world in slate blue. Only torch-damp cloths across shields hinted at movement. Narah rode at Ronan's shoulder. Unity's promise laid across her thighs. Celine whispered minor cloaking sigils under her breath, weaving them across the forward ranks like fine mist. Talia scouted on a low hill to the right, signaling back with silent hand flashes. Cult ward fires kindled, but not yet ablaze. The black obelisk loomed beyond the clearing, jagged edges glinting with veins of dull crimson. Pyre mounds surrounded it, stacked high with pine boughs and white ash. Hundreds of gray-cloaked cultists marched between braziers, each carrying a shard of nightroot fixed to breastplates. Lucian eased his mount up beside Narah. When we hit those pyres, I ignite pitch arrows. Give them smoke instead of flame. Narah nodded. Aim for the inner ring first. Celine's ward break will tether to smoke. She swallowed. We will not let them light the mirror. Ronan raised his gauntleted fist. The army halted. Kyle lumbered forward with a squad of shield bearers positioning behind Talia's archers. Elias led 3 spear blocks down a narrow ravine to flank the clearing's east. 24 blue moon cavalry circled to the west, hooves softened with leather wrapping. A hush followed. Only wind hissed across pine tops. Celine set her staff into the snow, drawing a circle of runes. She pressed one palm to Narah's armored shoulder. You and Ronan must keep your thoughts clear. The mirror's influence thickens as you approach. Freya stirred, bristling, but offered a comforting pulse. We guard mine together. Ronan bent toward Narah's ear. Remember the forge, he murmured. We tempered steel as one. Heat glowed under her breastbone. She stroked the armor's lily etching and nodded. Ronan's fist broke the air. Signal. Talia's bow snapped. An arrow streaked high, trailing a spark that burst into vivid smoke above the clearing. A chorus of bowstrings followed, pitch-soaked shafts spiraling into resin-laden pyres. Flames whooshed green, billowing smoke across cult ranks. Cries rose, startled, ragged. From the eastern ravine, Elias's spears thundered into the smoke. shields locked. Narah rode at Ronan's side through the center, Unity's promise gleaming. Cultists broke lines, scrambling. Some plunged into snow to smother oily residue catching their robes. Others raised nightroot shards hurling smoky tendrils of illusion. Narah felt a tug, the mirror's resonance amplifying illusions. Suddenly, she glimpsed Ronan ahead collapse, an arrow through his throat. She blinked, and the vision shattered. He still rode, sword flashing. She slashed down at a cultist swinging a hooked blade. Unity's promise sprayed silver sparks, severing the weapon. Ahead the obelisk hummed, its veins now pulsing crimson. At its base the pyre mound smoked but burned short, robbed of true flame. Cult adepts in dark crimson mantles knelt, chanting with raised shards. One larger figure, face hooded by layers of gauze, lifted a staff tipped with a mirror fragment the size of a child's skull. The shard gleamed blood-red, and Narah's armor vibrated as though in answer. Selene dismounted, staff blazing. She thrust its crystal into the snowy turf. Runes shot outward in lines of frost-white light, carving a containment circle around the obelisk. Smoky illusions struck the barrier and fizzled. The hooded adept turned toward Narah. She felt the air twist, a ripple that passed through every soldier and beast. Hooves staggered, wolves howled. Pain stabbed her bite mark. Freya howled inside her mind, staving off an icy flood. Ronan shouted, "Bind together!" He pushed through swirling illusions to Narah's side, clasping her free hand. The pain eased. Selene cried, "The mirror's threshold opens. We must enter now or lose the chance to confront its core." Talia sprinted across churned snow to cover them, arrows snapping. Lucienne fought at the perimeter, slicing down a cultist who tried to breach the containment circle. Kale and spear units pushed back, creating a clear path. Narah's heart hammered. She slid from Ember, Ronan at her heels. Selene beckoned them inside the rune circle. "Only those bound by the shard's resonance may breach the final ward," she called. Her gaze flicked to Narah. "And you?" Talia shot an arrow that split a nightroot bolt aimed at Selene, then positioned herself at the circle's edge. "Go. We'll keep them busy." Narah grasped Ronan's gauntleted hand. Together they stepped across the rune threshold. The air inside thickened, tinged with copper and ozone. The obelisk towered 20 paces away, its surface rippling like black water. Above, the hooded adept lowered her staff, revealing a narrow chin and silver eyes, and more feminine features that mirrored Narah's own. Recognition hit like a thrown hammer. "Sister," the figure hissed. Echo of dream. Narah steadied, gripping Unity's promise. "Who are you?" "Lyriel," the woman said, voice layered with echo. "Left in the shadow of your birth, forged by mirror flame." She gestured to the pulsing shard atop her staff. "We are two halves. Join and end the pretense of harmony." Ronan moved protectively to Narah's flank. "She stands whole already." Lyriel's gaze flicked to him. Contempt flashed. "Mate bonds. Chains disguised as love. I will snap them when the mirror breathes. Then shadow will cleanse these lands." Narah's armor warmed, resisting the shard's pull. She raised her sword. "I choose balance. Shadow tempered by light. Your path is ruin." Lyriel swept her staff. A wave of crimson light rushed. Ronan blocked, vambrace flaring silver. Narah dashed left, blade humming. She sliced, sending a crescent of moonfire that collided with the crimson blast midair. The obelisk shuddered, its veins flared brighter. A rumble shook ground. Outside the ward, Selene shouted incantations. Talia's arrows whistled, holding back cult reinforcements. Smoke thickened, but none crossed the rune ring. Lyriel spun, striking Ronan's sword with mirrored staff. Crystalline clang echoed like breaking glass. Shards of illusion sprayed. Ronan's eyes flashed pain, but he remained steady. Narah lunged at Lyriel's exposed side, halted when Lyriel's freehand splayed, conjuring twisting images. Narah's mother screaming, the queen impaled on a spear. Narah hesitated. Freya barked, and the vision fractured. Lyriel laughed. You waver. No, Narah said. She touched armor over her heart, drawing strength. I feel. She pivoted, driving Unity's promise through the staff's glow to strike Lyriel's shoulder. Silver flame scorched crimson cloth. Lyriel hissed, staggering. Ronan swept in, pommel cracking against Lyriel's forehead. The shard atop her staff flew, tumbling across snow to land at Narah's feet. Instantly it pulsed brighter, connecting to the fragment sealed back in Ironcrest vault. Narah felt the distant shard answer through her bones. Selene cried, "Now, Narah. Take control before it synchronizes fully." Narah knelt, hands hovering over the shard. Heat and cold radiated. Voices hissed, "Power, rule, release." Freya's growl cut through, "Choose balance." Ronan knelt opposite, placing his gauntleted hand over hers. Their marks glowed, twin lights seeping into the shard. Crimson dimmed, replaced by silver-blue swirl. Images flashed, Narah and Ronan forging steel, children laughing. Lupine and Ironcrest banners entwined, until a single pulse of white radiance burst upward into the sky. The obelisk cracked down its center with a thunderous snap. Cultists screamed as the rune circle collapsed outward, knocking them flat. Smoke scattered. Lyriel scrambled to her knees, clutching her burn. Her silver eyes blazed hatred. "You think you've won? The great mirror breathes in the ice below. You only culled an ember." She hurled a small shard of nightroot into the cracked obelisk's fissure. Ground trembled, splitting in jagged lines. Ronan yanked Narah backward as the monolith caved inward, pulling Lyriel with it. She vanished into darkness, laughter echoing. Snow crashed into the void. A plume of frost erupted. Selene shielded the breach with a last rune, sealing the pit. Silence cascaded over the battlefield, but for distant coughs and shifting armor. Lucian hurried to them, blood on his cheek, grin ragged. "Is it over?" "For now," Ronan answered, though his gaze remained on the sealed pit. Narah's legs wobbled. Talia braced her. "You burned bright as comet," she said. Narah tried to smile, but exhaustion buried expression. Freya lay quiet, drained yet vigilant. Selene approached, staff trembling. The mirror's pulse receded, but fragment bonds still live. "We must study remaining energy." Kale's soldiers herded stunned cultists into clusters. Iona rode up, fear etched deep. Great mirror eggs rest beneath the frostvine ice. Lyriel only woke one. Others wait. Narah met Ronan's eyes, dread simmering anew. "Then we haven't ended this." Ronan squeezed her shoulder. "We pivot faster than shadow." Elias emerged from smoke, hauling a bloody-lipped captive with silver eyes. "Found this runner." The prisoner sneered, whispering words that chilled Narah's spine. "High flame rises." Lucian glanced at Narah. "Time to plan stage 2. Night deepened by the time campfires sparked at the ridge beyond the shattered obelisk. Narah walked among injured soldiers, speaking quiet thanks. Morale flickered like their torches, uncertain yet unbroken. Ronan joined her, slipping a cloak around her shoulders. "Rest." She nodded, but near the medical tent Selene beckoned. Inside, the shard Narah had purified lay on a cloth, now pale blue. Selene touched it. "It resonates calmly with your aura. Proof harmony can tame nightroot." "Can we replicate for the vault shard?" Narah asked. "We must." Selene's gaze held resolve. Outside, heavy clouds parted to reveal the moon, rimmed crimson on its lower edge. A bad omen. Narah's stomach nodded. Freya whispered, "The figure still watches." Far away, deeper than the first cavern, flooded by faint red glow, Lyriel knelt before a monstrous slab of reflective ice. She pressed a hand to its surface. Swirling shapes drifted beneath, murky outlines of countless mirrors. Her burn smoked, but did not bleed. A voice wafted from the ice, soft, eager. "Sister denied you. Will you deny me?" Lyriel smiled, silver tears tracing her cheekbones. "Never." She will learn her place. I will open every mirror vein until bonds snap. She raised her charred staff shaft. Shard dust drifted from her sleeve into the ice, which pulsed blood red in reply. An image shimmered. Narah kneeling with Ronan, armor glowing. Lyriel's voice slid venom across stone. She does not yet know what she is. The mirror's glow deepened, casting crimson over her face as she bowed. Frost cracked in the cavern roof, and wind howled like wolves mourning daylight.